In this video, we will cover the nonviolent restraint highlight changes.
The first step in the restraint process is to place the order for restraints for nonviolent behavior. Filling out the mandatory fields, restraint type. At the Via Christi facilities, we no longer use chemical restraints. For nonviolent behavior restraints, most typical restraint type is soft limb. Complete your order. The second key step in restraint initiation is the documentation. Document everything via the tasks. Document in every field except those labeled violent. Ensure to document the restraint episode activity type as initiate episode. Utilize the other in the restraint behavior description to further explain the patient's situation. Ensure to create a label for each limb that is restrained. Within each limb that is restrained, document under in the evaluation of status of restraints. Document your learning assessment, who was present for the session and how they were educated, and document what materials you educated the patient on. Sign your documentation. The third step in the restraint initiation process for nonviolent restraints is to initiate the risk for injury plan of care along with checking the goal without injury while restraints in use. The fourth step in nonviolent restraint documentation is documenting every 2 hours. All documentation should be via the task. Once again, document every field except for the fields labeled violent. Please note the change, restraint circulation sensation, has been added to replace the multiple documentation steps of the neurovascular checks per each limb. Please select intact versus not intact. Sign your documentation. The fifth key step in the nonviolent restraint process is to ensure there's a daily renewal order for every calendar day the patient remains in restraints. In the orders view panel, you should have initial restraint initiate monitor with a daily renewal order for every calendar day the patient remains in restraints. For today, the 4th, we will place an additional renewal order for this patient by right-clicking to select copy, initiate, and sign. The last key steps in the restraint process for this high-level video is the discontinuation of restraints. The restraint discontinue documentation can be done via the task, restraint monitoring/discontinue. There are 2 specific things that need to be documenting when discontinuing restraints. The first is the activity type of discontinue episode, and the second is to ensure that each dynamic group label has been inactivated. Sign your documentation. Next step in the discontinuation process of restraints is to update your risk for injury IPOC. You can either right-click and discontinue the entire IPOC, or right-click on the specific goal without injury while restraints in use and discontinue that specific goal and sign. The last step when discontinuing restraints is to discontinue the restraint power plan. Locate the power plan in the orders view panel. Right-click on the top power plan title and select discontinue. By discontinuing the power plan on the top level, we'll discontinue the tasking every 2 hours and remove the patient from the restraint report. The last change to make note of is that all documentation is viewable and easily accessible in Flowsheet Doc under Quick View. If needed, you can come in here and make edits to your documentation. This concludes the video on the nonviolent high-level restraint process. If you have further questions, please look in Learning Live for more detailed restraint videos or additional job aids.